Everybody, this is Virginia Milner coming to you for the DeKalb County Library. And I wanted to do something. I have some really pretty cowrie beads from Kenya and some paper beads from Ghana, and I wanted to put them together and make something summery, nice and summery. I'm still in my shell phase before all of the heat goes away. Let's go ahead and just keep on going. So this is going to make a really lightweight but very pretty and colorful piece of necklace that we're going to make. And it's very lightweight because paper doesn't weigh much. The cowrie shells don't weigh much, and the cowrie shells are very neutral, and the paper beads are very colorful. So it's going to be a nice combination. And I wanted to show you a nice, easy way to put everything together. It's so funny because I've used cowrie shells before and used little kind of intricate little ways to link them, not realizing that I could just use jump rings. I saw somebody who had a necklace made out of cowrie shells. They just linked it together with jump rings and it was beautiful. I thought, why didn't I think of that? So anyway, we're going to make this necklace. I'm hoping that it'll be nice and quick, something that you can kind of put together on the fly if you want something nice and neutral. You can kind of jazz it up with some crystals or something like that adds a little color, or you can just leave it the way it is and it will be gorgeous. Okay, you're going to need the usual supplies. You're going to need your round nose pliers. The barrels are round all the way around, starting a little wider at the tip and tapering up to, oh, caught it in my throat, tapering up to almost a point at the tip. And oh, I said it's going to be wider at the hilt and taper up to a point, almost a point at the tip. And then you're going to have your square pliers. They are flat on the inside and slightly rounded on the outside, but basically square. And you can use that for multiple things, especially with round wire holding it in place and that sort of thing. You'll see in a bit when we use it to open and close jump rings and those sorts of things. Then we have our cutters. These are just basic wire cutters. That's what we're using today, and that's what I usually use. And we're going to just use that to do exactly what it says, cut wire. You're going to need some, in my case, I'm using cowrie shells and paper beads and jump rings and 24 gauge wire, and that is all we need for this. You can do this same design with any beads. You can decide how you want to put it together. It's pretty basic, so you don't have to have anything particularly special for this. The other things that you're going to need are a lobster clasp to clasp it together and a ruler to measure your wire. That's it. So let's go ahead and get down here to the mat and get started. Okay, let's go ahead and I've got my cowrie shells and my paper beads. Let's start with our cowries. The first thing that we're going to do is grab some jump rings and we're going to link. Oh, look at that. Those are linked together. I'm going to leave them the way they are because I'm going to be, well, no, that's not going to work. So what we're going to do is link our cowrie shells together. We're going to use jump rings to do that. So I'm going to unfurl these because they are linked together for some reason and they do not need to be. So I'm going to open this up. So what I like to do is take one pair of pliers. I like to take my square pliers and point them in. Here's the little opening at the top here. And I like to point my square nose pliers in towards the side and then take my round pliers and point them up and down and then twist my jump ring open. Let's get that off of there. Let's do that again. Square pliers pointed in. I have to find my little opening. There it is. And then the second method is to just take your thumb, balance it on your forefinger, take your thumb and push down to open it up. Neat, huh? Okay, so let's go ahead and link these together. All I need is an open jump ring. I'm going to slide it right here inside my cowrie shell right here at the end, just like that. And I'm going to add a second one that's closed. Add that on. And then I'm going to twist the open jump ring closed. You close it the same way you opened it. Twist that closed. Make sure that those tips are together. Nice and flush. Check it, make sure. There we go. Take a minute, work with it, make sure that everything's together. There we go. So now I have the jump ring on the shell and another one attached to it. And now I'm going to attach the middle jump ring, the second jump ring, to my other cowrie shell. So I'm going to open it up. It's already open. Open it a little bit more because I have to get it through here. Slide it inside the end of my cowrie shell. Oops, need to open it even more. They're a little thick, so you have to open it in a way that will accommodate the shell. There we go. So I got that open, and now I'm going to attach it to the other jump ring, just like that. Close it up. Twist that close, make sure those little tips are meeting. And there we have it. Now to make sure, because these have a definite front and back, to make sure that it's going to lay correctly and one's not going to be turned that way and one's going to be not going to be turned this way, make sure when you're linking them up that you either put the backs together or the fronts together. And that way when you open it up, they'll both be laying in the same direction. So that's how you link those. Let's go ahead and put that out of the way and wrap a couple of these paper beads. So for that, I'm going to need my 24 gauge wire. Doesn't take too much. Where is the end? Okay, use this one. There's usually two little ends sticking out there, and there was only one. Okay, so I only need about 4 and well, I want to give myself 1.25 inches on each side of my bead, in addition to whatever the length of the bead is. And paper beads are all different sizes. So you can see that these are not the same length when I put them on my wire. So what you want to do is give yourself your 2.5 inches. That will be for your loops, and then however much your bead is taking up. If it's another 1/2 inch, then that means you need 3 inches, 1/2 inch for the bead, 1.25 for each of your loops. Add that together, and that'll tell you what you need. It's not a case of cutting all of your pieces at once, unfortunately. You really need to measure, and that's where your ruler comes in. Now, the other thing that you can do is just give yourself a one long length, maybe 6 inches of wire, and cut that off. Then you might have a little less waste instead of trying to cut each one individually. So I've got I don't know how much I've got here, about 6, yeah, good. About 6 inches, a little less than 6 inches. And what I'm going to do is take one of my beads. I'm going to measure about 1.5 inches. I'm just, or 1.25 inches, and I'm just eyeballing it. Bend my wire over to the side so I have one short one going out to the side and the long one going straight down. I'm going to grab my round nose pliers, and I'm going to slide my short tail of wire in between the pliers. I'm going to go down about halfway down my pliers to make my loop. And I'm holding on to the short tail. And I have the sides of my pliers are right up against the long wire. Just to focus better, there we go. Then I'm going to bring that short tail a little bit further down, about halfway down my pliers. Bring that tail up over the top of my pliers and down the side until it's running parallel with the long wire. Then I'm going to hold on to my wire so that it doesn't shift too much, reposition that empty barrel of my pliers out of the way, and then push that short tail wire over to the side. So it's out at the side and the long one is going straight down. So I have a nice little loop. Get that straight. There we go. So now I have a nice little loop. So then I'm going to switch to my square pliers. I'm going to hold on to what I call the flat part of my loop, the face. I'm going to hold on to the face and I'm going to wrap the wire around. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of things that you can do here because I'm using 24 gauge wire. It's very thin, and I'm going to be using jump rings. And just so that you don't have the problem of possibly the wire slipping through, I'm going to show you this way to do it. Some people don't like the second way that I'm going to show you, but I wanted to show you how to make this loop, which is just a single loop. Now I'm going to show you the other way. I'm going to make a double loop just because it makes it a little thicker and it a little harder for it to slip out of your jump ring if for some reason your tips aren't flush. So I'm going to get, once again, I'm going to go down about 1.25 inches down my wire. Again, I'm eyeballing it, bend my wire over to the side, grab my round nose pliers, slide down about a half of the way down my pliers. I'm going to wrap my wire around my pliers until it's running parallel to the long one. Hold my wire, reposition my pliers out of the way, bring my wire all the way over and up until it's touching my pliers like that. So I have, straighten it out. I have about 1 1/3 loop. Then I'm going to go back in again with the wire that's protruding in the back towards the hilt of my pliers. And I'm going to bring it around again, nice and close to the first wrap. Let's bring it around like so until it's sticking out to the side. So now I have a double loop. Nice. Then I'm going to wrap that tail around the long wire. Again, some people don't really care for this, but I feel like it makes it more secure in my jump ring because I have 2 wires that are being held instead of 1. You do have to hold on to everything nice and tight, wrap that around. And once it gets too short to wrap with your fingers, then just grab your other pair of pliers and continue wrapping. And I just wrap until I don't have any more wire left. It's not a lot of wire. That way I don't waste so much. And then go ahead and push the rest of it down against the other wires because you don't want that little tip sticking up because it will scratch and it will not be comfortable. Okay, push that down like so. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one. That was an example. You can wrap it single, you can wrap it double. I'm going with the double. I'm going to add my bead, slide that on, and now I'm going to do a wrap on the other side. Same thing, bend the wire over to the side, grab my round nose pliers, slide that wire down about halfway down my pliers, wrap the wire around the pliers. Well, that's not quite halfway. Let's move it over a little bit. There we go. Bring the wire down the side of the bead until it won't go any further. Open my pliers up, reposition the empty barrel out of the way, and bring that wire under. Now I have a little bit of a neck here that I don't want. You see that little neck right there above the bead? I can get rid of that by rotating my pliers to bring my loop right on top of the bead, just like that. There. Now I've got my 1 1/3 wrap, one of a third wrap around. Put my pliers back in with the part that I'm wrapping closest to the hilt. Bring that wire over the top, down the side again, till it won't go any further because of the bead. Reposition my pliers, bring the wire under, right there in between the bead and the pliers until I have my loop. There we go. Go in, make sure everything's nice and neat. And close together. And then wrap that tail between the bead and the pliers just a few times. There we go. Cut that tail off. Hold on to that tail, otherwise it could go flying across the room. That's never pleasant to have to crawl around on the floor looking for a wire. And then push down that little tip. And there's my bead. My nice double wrap bead. Yay. Nice. Let's do another one. Grab some wire. Again, I'm going to give myself 2.5 inches plus the bead, and this is probably not more than 1/4 of an inch in length. Once it goes on my wire, so I'm just going to cut this little piece here. So that would be 1 1/4, 2.5, about 3 inches. A little more than I need, but that's okay. Okay, again, I'm going to straighten out this little bump here. So give myself 1 1/4. Again, I'm just eyeballing. Then my wire to the side. Slide my wire between my pliers about halfway down. Bring the wire over the top and down the side until it's running parallel with the large wire. Now, here's another way that you can do it. Hold on to the wire, open up the pliers, reposition the pliers out of the way, and then bring this short tail behind the first wire. First time I did it before and then I turned it around. This time I'm just bringing it behind the wire. Slide the pliers out, put them back in with the empty barrel holding the wire that's protruding, and it's behind the original loop. Then bring that around behind that loop, all the way around until it's running out to the side and the long wire is up and down. So there's my loop. Come back in, straighten everything out. Make sure that my wire is running out to the side. And let's wrap that short tail around just a couple of times. Again, it just depends on how much wire you want to see at the top. But give yourself a couple of wraps so that it's secure. Then once you've wrapped it to your satisfaction, just cut off the little tip if there's anything to cut. In my case, there isn't. All I need to do is grab my square pliers and push that little tip down. Nice and snug. There we go. Grab my bead, slide it on, and let's repeat the process. Bend my wire to the side, grab my round nose pliers, slide the wire down between the pliers about halfway. Bring the wire over the top of my pliers and let it run down the side until it bumps into my bead. Open my pliers up, reposition them out of the way. That's my clock saying, hurry it up. Reposition it out of the way and bring the wire behind my bead. And again, I have a little neck there that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to roll my loop down until it's resting right against my bead. And then I have my little 1 1/3 wraps. Take my pliers out, put it back in so that the wire is in what I'm calling the top half of my pliers and the bottom half is closest to me. Then I'm going to wrap it over the top, down the side, reposition my pliers again, bring it around back behind my bead. And I have my double loop. And let's just wrap that closed right there between the bead and the pliers. Just wrap that around as many times as you want, or until you run out of wire, whichever comes first. There we go. Snip off that little tip. Get rid of that. Take your square pliers, push down that sharp tip against the rest of the wire, and there we have it. Very good. Now it's time to link everything together. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab a couple more jump rings. I have an open one here and a couple of closed ones. And what I'm doing is making a mini chain, a mini jump ring chain in between each of my paper beads. So I'm going to take my open jump ring and add 2 closed jump rings. Close it up. Make sure those tips are together. Then I'm going to open one of my closed ones, one of the ones that's on the side. Add one of my paper beads to it and close it. There we go. Get that nice and closed. Those tips should be together. There's my little miniature chain. I'm going to open the other side, the other jump ring on the other end, and add my other paper bead. Twist it closed, nice and tight. Very good. And there we are. And then I'm just going to do this with all my paper beads. Let's give myself my little miniature chain. Open it up. There we go. Slide on the jump ring. Add one of the beads. Close the jump ring. And what did you do, Virginia? I did the wrong one. Let's do that again. Let's try that again. I think I added it to the one in the middle. Okay, so that's a teaching moment. I added it to the middle jump ring instead of the end jump ring. So let's open that up, take it off, close it back again, and add it to the last jump ring that doesn't have anything in it except the middle jump ring. All right, so let's open that up, add my bead, and close it. Here we go. That nice and closed. Nice. And let's do that again. Got my open jump ring. Add it to my bead. Let's add these two to it. Close it up. Nice. Go to the other side. Get that last jump ring again. Open it up. Grab my bead and add it to that last jump ring and close. Now I have a nice chain. Now I need to add that to my cowrie shell. So I'm going to continue with the 3-chain method. So I'm going to open up another jump ring. Oh, here's one that's already open. Very good. Slide it on my cowrie shell, just like I did the others. Get that in there. And these are pretty kind of thick. So you gotta make sure it's open enough to get it all the way around there. Okay, slide that in my little opening. On my cowrie, come on, work with me here. You might have to work with it, as you can see. Come on, come on. Come on. Just kind of work it around. Wow. Gotta get turned around. Let's go this way. From the front to the back. Maybe I should open it a little more. Don't be afraid to open it up as much as you need. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get it on here like I'm demonstrating. So effectively demonstrating what not to do. Okay, let's get that in there. Come on, come on. You can do it. Oh my goodness. It is fighting me tooth and nail. I have to find the right angle. Let me look. Let me look here. There's my little opening. Now I just need to get, this is probably why I didn't use jump rings before, because I thought, how do you get it through? There we go. There we go. Found the right angle. And let's slide my bead on. Well, actually, slide another jump ring on because I want it to be 3 jump rings. So there's one jump ring on the end. I'm going to slide 2 more jump rings inside that one, and then close up the open one. Just twist that closed. And just take your time and work with it. Make sure it's completely closed. You don't want any openings in there. Grab my other plier. Hold on to that. Grab my other plier and push those ends together. There we go. My goodness. And I did it again. I put two on the wrong one. So I'm going to open that one up, attach it to the second one. So I have the one that's on my cowrie shell. Then I have the one jump ring that's connected to that jump ring. I'm going to slide the third jump ring on, and then I'm going to add that to my bead. There we go. And close. Make sure it's tightly closed. And there we have it. Nice. So then this is one side, or part of the side. So after that, I'm going to add a chain because this is going to be my center. And I'm going to add a chain to finish it off. And you can use as many jump rings as you need for your chain. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on. My chain is made. All I did was attach my jump rings together, just like I did with the triple chain. Just add as many jump rings as you need or want to get the length that you want for your necklace. So I'm going to open up that last jump ring, slide it on the bead, loop, and twist it closed. Now I'm going to add this to the rest of my chain. I need a jump ring on this side. Slide that in. It needs to really be open more. Slide that in my cowrie shell. This is another thick one. One side of the cowrie shell is usually thinner than the other. Get that in there. Work that around. Come on. Get that other side to come out. I'm going to open it up a little bit more. Get that in there. There we go. Got to open it up enough. Then twist it closed. Make sure that those little tips are meeting. Nice and close. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to grab two more jump rings because I'm making my little chain. Slide that into the jump ring. Oh, that's not quite closed. Got to make sure that this is very, very tight. I don't want anything sliding off of my jump ring. Get that nice and tightly closed. There. Slide on my open jump ring inside of this one. And let's slide on a second jump ring and close this up. Nice and tight. Now I have the rest of my chain done. And I'm going to slide this on. Look at that. I already had a jump ring on this one, so I don't need this one. So let's take this one off because I just want a 3 chain. And you can make your chain as long as you want. I wanted as little space in between my cowries as possible. I just wanted it to I wanted some continuity, and I wanted enough distance that the cowries wouldn't bump together. So I gave myself 1 jump ring on the cowrie itself, 1 in the middle, and 1 on the other cowrie. So each of the cowries has 1 and 1 in the middle. Notice that I'm making sure that the right sides are together when I attach my jump ring. Close it up. Make sure that the tips are meeting. Nice and snug. You just work with it until you get it the way you want it. There we go. And there it is. This is my front side of my cowries. There's my little chain. And there's my necklace. And now all I need is a lobster clasp because the chain will hold everything too, will hold the lobster clasp. So what you want to do at this point is measure and see if it's as long as you want. This, I don't think needs to be too long, but if you want it longer, add more jump rings. But I think this is about, let's see how long. Well, I think I'm giving it my standard princess length, which is 18 to 20 inches. So that's 12. Yes. Not quite 18 inches. And when I add my lobster clasp, it will be 18 inches. So what I've done is make my standard princess length. If you want it longer, you can make it longer. If you want it shorter, you can make it shorter. 16 inches or so will take it right up to the neck. And I think that this would be pretty in that shorter length, but it's up to you. So I opened up my jump ring. I'm going to slide that lobster clasp right inside the jump ring, that little tiny ring that's on the bottom. Close it up, nice and snug. And there we have it. A nice beachy, summery necklace that you can just make on the fly. Turn this, there we go. Isn't that cute? Okay, let's see what it looks like on a form. There it is. There's our necklace. Oh, I love this. I love the cowrie shells. I love the nice um, colorful paper beads along with the more um, non-color, not colorful. Can't think of the word for it. Cowrie shells. They're very neutral. I love that, and I love that in just in contrast with the colorful paper beads. So anyway, this is a nice necklace that you can make. I think this would pretty much go with anything, simply because of the neutrality um, of the cowrie shells, and you can put any color beads that you want with it. If you want 1 color bead, you can do that. If you want multicolors like this, I think this could go with pretty much anything that you've got. Any T-shirt, I should have put it on myself. any t-shirt, any inside the collar of any other shirt. I hooked this up a little bit higher so that it wouldn't be quite as long in the back. I took advantage of my jump rings and made it a little shorter just so I could show you that it doesn't need to be too long. But if you want to add extra jump rings and make it longer, that of course is entirely up to you. It's just whatever is comfortable for you. But this is effectively adjustable. You can bring it up, you can bring it down, you can make it whatever you want because of the jump rings. So anyway, that's our piece for the day. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you'll let me know one way or the other. You can get in contact with me at the library Facebook page and or my email, both of which are listed in the description. You can also leave comments here on the YouTube page if you would like to. And I would love to see your pictures. If you're so inclined to send me pictures, I love to see them. So until next time, I hope it's not too hot for anybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend, and I will see you later. Bye-bye. Okay, if I can find the button. Okay, okay, bye.